Hello, this is Jill at Scrapbook House, and this week we'll be playing with this wonderful stupendous floral stamp set. We're just going to do quite a bit of stamping, so I've put down my stamping pad and I'll be stamping directly on this Kraft color panel. I'm using my anti-static pouch to remove any oil or static so my embossing powder doesn't go everywhere. It only goes where I actually want it to be. I'm going to be using Versamark ink to stamp all of the images, but I wanted to stamp the sentiment first because I needed it to be in a special spot so all the flowers and leaves fit around it. Once it was stamped, I just put white embossing powder on top of it and shook off the excess powder and used a heat gun to melt down the powder. Once I had chosen which stamps I was going to use, I put them on different acrylic block, even using both sides. That way it will make it a little faster rather than removing it and putting another stamp on. I randomly stamped the different images on the edges of the card, starting by the bigger image and then using the smaller one to fill in the holes. Once I had the bulk of my images stamped down, it was getting a little hard to see where my design was going and where I was missing things. So I decided to add the white embossing powder and melt it down first, and then I could add, if I had any holes or whatever I needed. I'll put on some music for you while I finish the stamping and heat embossing, and I'll come back just before we start the coloring. I secured my panel to the Kraft mat and then added a little bit of the 3 colors of oxiding I'm going to be using to the Kraft mat. I wanted to add some color and a bit of shimmer, so I decided to try to color with the Wing of Stella brush because it has a very fine tip and it will color with whatever oxiding I'm picking up, and the glitter is already, or the shimmer is already in the brush, so that worked out really well. I'm pretty pleased about that. I must say I really enjoy coloring with that very fine tip brush. I kept on going back and adding more color to give it more depth, but I could get into all the nooks and crannies and it was really easy to add just a little bit of color where I wanted it. At this point I used my white gel pen to add a little bit of white to one of the blossoms. Once my panel was totally dry, I used collage medium to add the panel to the card base itself. From the very start of making this card, I wanted it to be a really simple card, but once I was done, I was looking at it, I just figured there's something missing. I didn't want to add sequins, so I added some white splatter, and I'll just show you right now how that was done. I put some white pigment ink onto an acrylic block and then sprayed it a couple of times with clean water. And by using a very fine brush and tapping it, I was able to get a nice spray of very fine dots. And if you wanted, you could add sequins to this card or even add more color to the flowers. Thank you so much for dropping in today. I hope you've enjoyed the card and that you get your supplies out and start playing.